Hey guys, how's it going? Comparing here. Today I want to talk to you guys about the appropriate level to do maps. This is a very important thing in the general scope of the game because you don't want to do a map and waste potential experience that you may have otherwise had if you did it later. And the same concept is very relevant in like week race situations, which we're currently in, and obviously like a month race situation and whatnot. Now I've been applying this tactic in our week race to try to get the highest efficiency out of the maps that we get. And some people have been asking me about what's really going on behind it, and I want to show you guys my methodology of selecting the level appropriate to do each map. So in Path of Exile, there are certain experience penalties. I'm sure you guys know of them, but the formula looks pretty intimidating. I'm not going to bother you guys with that, but it pretty much is as follows. So if you're in a zone, you have an XP like buffer of plus and -3. So if you're in level 1 and if you're in a level 4 zone, you get full experience all the way until 7. And then when you hit 8, the level difference between you and the zone is 4, which is 1 higher. And it being 1 higher, you're essentially in the first experience penalty bracket. And obviously this penalty applies both ways. But if you're talking about map content, which is what I want to focus on in this video, you're not going to really encounter the flip side of that where you're too low level and you suffer the bottom end of the experience penalty. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is the top end and the higher levels of the top end, because as you guys know, people playing the hardcore right now, they're like level 90. They're pretty much experiencing full out penalty on any map that they do. The penalties are not so severe in the first levels, but they get incrementally more severe and they reach kind of like a stabilization point. I made a chart here for you guys which displays this fact, and on the left column you have the level difference past the point where you get full experience. So this can be a little bit intimidating, but I'll show you guys the results for those that not too interested in the details in the end. So basically, what this means is if you're 1 over the barrier, the buffer, your experience penalty is going to be roughly 98%, and then it's going to drop to like 90, and then 76, and then 61, 46, 34, 25. Now it's difficult to really interpret these numbers, so what I've done is I've divided the existing number of that particular level bracket by the previous one, so you can see the difference between them and you can see a very strict pattern. So you can see that the first penalty, it's 98% of 1 because there was no penalty prior. And then it's 92, and it gets incrementally worse, and it reaches a stabilization point roughly at 4 or 5 levels over, or I guess under if you want, the bracket, around 0.75 lost. So what does this data actually mean? What it means is if you have a level 66 map, for instance, and you're level, I don't know, 95, you're going to get a certain amount of experience for doing that map. Let's just call that crap experience. So if you were going to save that map and do it 1 level later at 96, you'd get 25% less of that crap experience because you're getting, times 0.75. So you're getting a quarter less because of the further penalized experience at that level. Now, this is not relevant at all for players who are that high level, because if you apply this understanding to the higher level maps, it'll still exist in the same category. Like a level 77 map, which is the highest level map currently in the game, will still have the same pattern. If you're 95, you're going to get garbage experience, and if you're 96, you get 25% less. But if you apply this to just outside the buffer, you can get so just full experience. If you're doing it at, I don't know, if you're doing a 77 map at 77, you're going to get full experience. But someone who's like 80 will also get full experience. However, if you get unlucky and you get crushed in maps back to like the 60s, the level 80 might get less experience out of those maps than the lower level character. So the conclusion is that there is some kind of level that you should be doing maps at to optimize the efficiency. In other words, there's a certain level that you need to do every single map to get the most out of it considering that you'll be playing the character for a long time, and considering that you know, these maps will come and go, and eventually, you know, you'll do all of them that you can. I've set this up in a chart, and it shows your level and the map level. This is pretty much what I go by. This is one outside of the buffer. It's one over the buffer. So for instance, in my chart at 74, if you do a 66 map and you kill a 66 monster, so a white monster in a 66 map, you're getting 98% of the experience that the monster would give to anyone else. Now, this isn't too relevant to the 66s, but you can kind of take this with a grain of salt, because 66 maps are common, 67 maps are common, 68 maps, if you're playing the permanent league, those are pretty common as well. But when you get into the 70s, when you get into the mid 70s, that's when this is very, very relevant, especially if you are the one putting the map in. Now, there is a very interesting thing that it skips from 78 to 80 when going from 70 to 71 maps. This is because 80 is a factor of 16, and for every 16 levels, it increases the buffer by 1. And I believe that makes the buffer from 4 to 5, and that's why, if you get to 79, the penalty for 70 maps are the same as they were, if you get to 79, if you do a 71 map, it still gives you full experience because your buffer was increased by 1. So you kind of need to know what's going on, but in the end, the chart is very relevant. It shows what I'm talking about, and you can kind of use this to your discretion. This is the first penalty bracket, which is very small, but you can, if you're doing like a race situation, you may just want to do the highest map that you can get in the end. But in terms of strategy, in the earlier parts of a race, like a week race or a month race, you would want to try to stick to these kind of level brackets. On the other hand, when you do a map, if you kill a blue monster, its level is 1 higher. If you kill a rare monster, its level is 2 higher. For a level being 2 higher, there's not many of those. There's not many bosses in the maps, there's not many rare monsters in the maps, but there are a lot of magic monsters in some maps, especially the ones with the magic monster affix. And as such, if you have already rolled a map that has magical monsters, I do recommend considering the map level for the experience penalty method as being 1 higher. So if you have like a level 71 map, which has 45% more magic monsters, you should be treating that as a level 72 map in terms of optimal experience gain. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my little explanation of how things work. Again, it is my interpretation. There are, real numbers here at work, but it's kind of difficult to implement this in a race where you're nearing the end. But all in all, it's very important to know this stuff, especially when you're doing the long races, but even when you're doing the short races, to try to optimize the zones that you're in and make sure you're not too far away from the buffer in most cases. Anyway, guys, hope you guys take this knowledge and up your game a little bit, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.